Welcome to Auction version 4, the event management software tool from Auction Systems. This is the second part of a two-part series on how to use Auction Cloud with a Mac. If you have not already done so, please watch the first video in this series called Setting Up Your Cloud Account on a Mac. In this second part, I will show you how to log in from a Mac to your cloud account using the RDP file you saved as shown in the first video in this series, and I will show you how to set up a local default location for saving auto backups and exports and PDFs of reports and documents generated in the cloud application. To open the cloud application and your cloud project, you will use the RDP file. If you followed the instructions in the previous video, you have an RDP file on your desktop that has been renamed auctioncloud.rdp. If you do not have this icon and the CPUB auction main etc. RDP file is no longer in your downloads, you will need to download it again at cloud.auctionsystems.net. Follow the instructions in the first video in this series to download the CPUB again. When you click on the RDP file the first time, you will see this screen where you must tell your Mac what location on your Mac you want the cloud application to have access to. There may be a default location already in this field, but it may not be the optimum location because we need to make sure this is a location that cloud can see. Some locations are easier for cloud to see than others due to security settings on your Mac. The ideal file location would be users/your name. In this screenshot, the user who had privileges on this Mac is named Scott, so the location is users/Scott. It turns out that this location happens to be called Home, which will become important to know when setting this default location in Auction in the cloud. You can click this blue button in the right and choose Browse to find this same location if you do not want to type it in. Then once you are back in this screen, from the Browse, click this little box that says Do not ask again for connections to this computer so that it will not ask you every time you open Auction Cloud. Then press Connect. Now you're going to be asked again to enter a username and a password. But now this is your username we sent you in the email and the new password you had to create to download the app and the RDP the first time. When the cloud application is open and ready, you will see this screen, which is exactly the same screen you will see each and every time you start Auction in the cloud. If you've ever used the software on a Windows PC, you will recognize this screen. Click the I agree to terms of use button and you are almost ready to go. But the first time you log into Cloud, you will need to let Cloud know what location you gave your Mac permission to let Cloud see. The reason this is so important is that every time you open a project or make a lot of changes in a project, Auction will want to save a small snapshot of the project as an auto backup. That auto backup is a very small zipped up file, but it can only be saved to the Mac. It cannot be saved in the cloud. Also, if you create a PDF of a document or a report in the cloud or export a spreadsheet from the data and want to look at it later on your Mac, you need to let Cloud know where it's allowed to save that PDF or export so you can get to it later. To set this default location, click the gavel in the upper left of the screen and then click this little button called Default Program Setting. You will see this screen, so click the Default Local Location panel to open it. The default local location may already be filled in, but likely it's wrong, so click Browse. When you browse, you may see something like this. TS Client is your Mac, and if the TS Client Home is not visible, click on TS Client and it should expand below to show TS Client Home. Click it to highlight it and press Save and Close. You will be back at the default location screen and the location will be filled in. Save and close that screen and you're ready to begin. Also, the first time you log in, you may not see any projects in the list of recent projects. If someone else has posted a project, you can find it by clicking Browse for Projects. If you're the one that needs to post a project, you can do it by restoring a backup. Make sure you have access to the backup either on a flash drive or saved to your computer and then press Restore Backup. There are videos in the Getting Started series for how to open a project and how to restore a project from backup. Once you have opened a project in Cloud, in the future it will appear here in the Recent Projects lists on the left. Once you open a project in the cloud using your Mac, a Project Backups folder will automatically be created for you on your Mac in the default location, which is user/yourname on the Mac. It's also the same thing as tsclient/home in Auction in the Cloud. How do you find the auto backup or any other file you saved to your Mac from the cloud? The easiest way is to click on the Finder icon along the bottom of your screen. It will bring up this searching screen. When searching for a backup, search Project Backups and make sure you're searching this Mac. It should bring up this folder, and if you click on it, you will see auto backup folders for any project you have opened. Click on the auto backup folder for the project you're interested in and you will see any of the auto backup files ever made for you by Auction. Those auto backups will have a file name that starts with the year, then the month, then the day, then the time the auto backup was made, followed by the reason the backup was generated, such as open, or changes, or pre-import, etc. If you saved a PDF or an export from Auction in the Cloud, it most likely will be in this same location but not in the Project Backups folder. Use the search field to search for the name you gave the document or export when you saved it, and make sure you're searching this Mac. Once you have logged into Cloud and set up the default location the first time, from then on, using Auction in the Cloud on your Mac will be exactly the same as using Auction on a PC. Please watch other videos in our YouTube playlist on how to use Auction. They all apply to Auction in the Cloud because the application is the same as the software. Thank you for joining us.